Welcome back, fuckers, to the Mateo Peace Experience. I am your crack addict host, as per usual. Let's talk about books. Talking about reading today. So I've been reading some books that differ from my usual entourage. I've read since the start of my self-improvement journey a shit ton of self-improvement books. Man, I tell you, I've read a shit fucking ton, and I've read a lot of books on my own before that, just for my own interest. And I've recommended these to other people, and everybody likes them. But recently, I've been picking up different kinds of book, spreading my knowledge. I know this sounds cringe as fuck, but so I've been reading a lot of history books and a lot of philosophy books. And what I mean, I've read for a long fucking time. Let me tell you, I've been reading for a long fucking time. Remember in sixth grade, I don't even know how fucking old that is, but I was in sixth grade. I was reading a book that was a minimum 1,100 pages. Minimum. And if it was a very, very large book, it probably would have been 800, 900 pages. It wasn't a tiny book, but there was a lot of fucking pages. And I remember so clearly because my friend was sitting next to me. So like, yo, that in class, hey, this motherfucker reading a dictionary. That shit was funny as fuck. I laughed at it. This isn't a most, like, oh my god, I got bullied for reading a book. Fuck that. No, I laughed with it. That shit was funny. So why have I started reading more history and philosophy books? One, I've kind of exhausted some material, so if you've exhausted a lot of the self-improvement books that typically help you, yeah, fuck it, why not? Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you read these more histories? And one, you can learn a shit fucking ton, maybe even more. Probably not more, but you have to look a little deeper in, because it's not strictly given to you. But you can read and learn a lot and take inspiration from people before you. And I think that's what the great thing about history is. And that's kind of what school tries to teach you. They try to teach you that, history is so cool and you can learn from this. But instead of telling you how to learn from it, they just quiz you on dates and events. And that's important too. You need to know what the fuck happened at a certain time, but you're not learning from that. You're just quizzed upon remembering that. That's not. You need to be able to learn and take inspiration from. And I love that. I genuinely fucking love that. Like, I was reading a part from Alexander the Great, Great Conqueror, never lost a battle. And I was reading him, and I was like, holy shit, what a crazy fucking life. But I was what I really like to see, whenever he was faced with a choice, when he had two choices. Let's say, for one example, there's this impenetrable mountain fortress. All right, you had to go through up a very, very steep, very narrow pass to get to the fortress, and it's a fortress. You still gotta besiege it, and he has enemies in there. Well, he sent some men up, along with him, and they got shat on. Boulders, arrows flying, bloodbath. He was getting fucked on, so he had to retreat. And as he was retreating, they had to go so fast, it was so dangerous, they had to leave the bodies of his Greek soldiers there. Terrible crime. And like Greece back in the day, you had to bury your fellow soldiers, otherwise they couldn't go to the afterlife. It's pretty fucked what he did then. So he had two choices. One, go all the way around, some 70 kilometers to go move, and then by the time his original quarry would have left, because there was a detachment of guards at this mountain fortress, but past that was a man he was trying to capture. So he could do all that and then lose everything, and his men would have just died there for nothing. He could try and storm it, same way through the front, his men would have died. A lot. It would have been very, very costly. Very fucking costly. So what did he do? He found one local guide and promised him a shit ton of money to take him through the highest fucking mountains that are nearby. And he did. He took his entire fucking army up these very, very fucking steep mountains. And there's a path that anybody can go through. But he went right through the thick of it. And flanked around and killed everybody inside the fortress. Rough rendition of what happened. So what I learned from that, and it's something that he did very often, when he was faced with two choices, do this or that, This has this result, this has this result, both risky. He found a third. He was very, very good at thinking outside the box, and I fucking like that. And so I'm taking that into my life. Whenever I'm faced with opportunities like, okay, if this or this or this or this, let's find a fifth option. Let's find a fourth option. Let's find an option that I hadn't previously thought about. Boom. You could make that an entire self-improvement book. You can literally borrow that shit down, put in a few chapters, and sell that shit. You could look at Napoleon, who had an insane memory and was practically like a fucking filing cabinet with that shit. You could open one thing, grieve about a friend who just died, close it, tactical advantages, administration. You know, he was very fucking good at administrating and giving laws. He wasn't just a French conqueror. He was very good at giving laws. He was fucking very meticulous in this shit. Napoleonic Code, I don't know if you ever heard of it, is the basis for legal government used fucking everywhere. Literally fucking everywhere. Still in most places they take inspiration from not his conquests, but the laws he gave out in France. He was the first man ever in Europe to divide the whole country, not divide, but unify the whole country in laws. Usually, the laws change from wherever the fuck you are. It's not in like, oh, murder is 25 years here or 12 here. But like, oh, you can murder your husband and get off scot-free. But if you murder your husband in another place, it's 5 years and you get decapitated at the end of it. Very fucking different laws, very different things. Some laws exist, some laws don't. And they unify them into one code, Napoleonic Code. And it's used everywhere fucking now. Who fucking knew that? School's not gonna teach you that shit. So it's a bunch of like nuances shit that you learn, and that's always nice for you, but you also learn like real fucking lessons. You have to look into it and maybe you have to journal about it. But you learn these shits. You actually learn this shit, unlike school when you just learn a fucking date. So if you ask me while I'm reading this, honestly, I do get some benefit and it is interesting to read. Maybe I'm just out of fucking books. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. If you're interested in this shit, if you're interested from learning the people before you, of course, go fucking read it. Go fucking read these books. They're amazing. If you really try and learn from them, you will learn a lot. That's it. It's just extra learning that maybe you can use in your life. You have to dig deeper to find it. You have to dig deeper for answers. Maybe even have to buy multiple books and compare sources to find the real truth. But it's really fucking good and I highly recommend it. End of this video. Peace, fuckers.